Me and Marvin Gardens, Chapter 7, Jail and Plastic. There was greed. There had always been greed. Greed pretty much ruined everything fun and good in the world. Maybe that's a negative attitude. But my science teacher, Ms. G, says the reason we have so much pollution is because of greed. Companies make more money when they don't follow the rules. Everybody wants bigger and better things all the time. Everyone wants to move up in the world, even if it means they have to hurt things to get there. Just like turf wars, just like Monopoly. Dad came into the study where I was sitting at the computer, still staring at a picture of a naked mole rat and thinking about the animal at the creek. He said, "What you doing?" I was processing 10 things at a time. I was remembering what the animal's hoof/paw looked like when it shoved that bottle into its mouth. It had fingers, not fingers like mine, but pads and claws. I said, "Nothing." "Feel like a game of speed Monopoly?" "It's a school night. I was going to read my book," I said, holding up my animal track guide. I didn't mention my math homework. "You've already read it a million times, right? We should do something fun." Dad had recently become addicted to Monopoly, and this was a chance to get out of math homework. I said, "Yes." Who else had a dad who wanted to play a board game on school nights? We went up to drag Bernadette into the game. When she opened her door, I looked inside and saw all the order that my room didn't have. Her bed was made for starters. Her school books were spread out on her bed as if she was really studying, when I knew she was probably texting her friends the whole time. She and Dad headed down the steps to the kitchen/Monopoly table. I told them I'd be down in a minute and went to get my sweatshirt, which was still balled up and bloody on my bedroom floor. I knew all about how to wash blood out of clothing. Mom had to teach me on the first day of the turf war. I filled the bathroom sink with cold water and put the sweatshirt in and squeezed it a lot to get the blood out. The water turned pink. I rinsed it again until there was no more pink and then left it there to soak. In the past 6 months, I'd had to do this probably 20 times. Playing Monopoly with Dad was kind of fun, but pointless. Bernadette knew this as much as I did. It wasn't so much that he was smart, but that he was ruthless. Also, I always thought he stole money from the bank because he was the banker. He'd move his hand fast over the colorful bills, and he always had more than he should. When Bernadette and I played Monopoly by ourselves, I built houses and hotels on my properties. But never with Dad. With Dad, I just hoarded properties and said it was my personal choice not to build anything on them. It drove him crazy. I couldn't stop thinking about the animal and my flashlight. I hoped I didn't drop it in the creek. I hoped the animal didn't eat metal, too. The flashlight was a birthday present and a real mag light, the small kind, and I took it everywhere with me. "You owe me $450, Dad said. 100 years ago, Monopoly existed, but it was called something else. A woman named Lizzie something invented it in 1903 to teach people about the evils of land development by small monopolies and something about taxes. I wasn't really sure what a monopoly was, but I could see the evils Lizzie something wanted people to see when I watched Dad hold out his hand to me for $450 in rent, which he knew I didn't have. Bernadette offered to loan me $100, but Dad wouldn't allow it. I mortgaged a few of my properties so I could scrounge up enough money to pay him, and when it was my turn, I landed on the go directly to jail space and happily went to jail. At least I'd be free of debt for 3 turns. Dad said to me, "You know, I have to pay for trash removal and recycling." Bernadette rolled a 4 and landed on St. Charles Place, which she owned, so she said, "Phew!" Dad said, "I don't like you bringing home all that trash from the creek and my having to pay for it." "They don't charge you by the pound, do they?" I asked. "That's not the point," he said. "It's not our trash." "All trash is our trash," I said. If you think of it a certain way." I rolled and didn't roll double, so I had to stay in jail. Dad rolled and landed on a railroad and had to pay me $50. "I don't want you bringing home trash anymore." "It's our land, Dad. It's our creek. It's our trash." "I didn't put it there." Bernadette rolled her eyes and said, "But if no one picks it up, then it stays there." "Exactly," Dad said. I imagined what Miss G would say to him then. I tried to come up with something smart with facts and numbers and interesting side stories. Ms. G had a framed newspaper article on her classroom wall about an experiment she did back in the 1980s. She asked her students to start collecting the pull tabs from the tops of soda cans, from home or the side of the road or wherever they could find them. And she had helpers come to her room and count them. Her goal was to get to 1 million. That's what she said in the article. She said she wanted students to see what a million looked like. It took her students 8 years to collect a million pull tabs. When she got to 1 million, she threw a party for all the students who'd helped her count over the years, and then recycled the metal and donated the recycling money to an environmental group that was taking care of the Schuylkill River. She was quoted in the article saying trash was collective. It was all of ours. She said, if we don't start paying attention to our trash, it will pile up. I don't know if anyone learned from the experiment other than the kids who helped her. People still tossed trash anywhere they wanted because I still saw trash on the side of the road all the time, and in parking lots, and in the creek. This year was Miss G's last year as a teacher. I was so glad I got to have her. Every April she celebrated Earth Month because she felt that Earth Day wasn't enough. She was a legend not only in the school and the community but in my house because Bernadette had her the same year as Mr. Mustache bullied her, and Miss G saved her by being nice because Miss G is always nice. Your generation ruined the planet, Bernadette said to Dad as she landed on St. James Place. I didn't personally ruin the planet, Dad said. I don't know who told you I did, but whoever it is lying, and you owe me $200. He smiled and held out his hand to Bernadette. Plastics, I said. Plastics ruined everything. Once Bernadette paid Dad his $200, he said, Plastics ruined everything? Tell me how plastics ruined everything. He walked to the fridge and opened the door. He pointed at each thing as he named it. The milk comes in plastic, the cheese, the eggs, the apple juice. All the meat is wrapped in plastic. The butter, the yogurt, sour cream, fruit cups for your lunch, carrots, tomatoes, and lettuce, all in plastic. He looked in the shelves in the fridge door, which were made of plastic. Chocolate syrup, strawberry syrup, mayonnaise, ketchup, barbecue sauce, mustard, lemon juice. Bernadette looked at me, and I looked at her, and I don't know what she was thinking, but I was thinking that maybe we should shut up now before I lost outside privileges for the rest of the week. I rolled and didn't roll doubles again, so I stayed in jail. I said, You're right, Dad. What I said was stupid. You bet it was stupid. Look around this kitchen. Look around this house. Plastic. And it isn't ruining anything. It's been proven to cause cancer in rats, Bernadette said. Dad answered, At this point, I think everything causes cancer in rats. How do you know rats aren't just susceptible to cancer? Bernadette sighed. Dad rolled the dice. He landed on the one property where Bernadette had a hotel and he owed her $1,050. We didn't talk about anything else but the game until it was over. Dad won, of course. I cleaned up while Bernadette checked her phone for text messages. Dad went upstairs to change out of his work clothes. When I put the Monopoly box back in the cabinet in the den, I heard the cry of the animal I'd left at the creek. It sounded like it was in the driveway. It was part howl and part screech, like a baby who missed its mother. I opened the back door and stood on the porch. I heard the animal running toward me, but I couldn't see anything until the sensor light went on, and the animal stopped in the bright light. It had my flashlight in its mouth, clamped in its underbiting jaw. I heard a sound by the window and saw Bernadette looking out at me. The animal dropped my flashlight and ran back towards the creek. By the time Bernadette came outside, I was testing my flashlight, and it worked. I acted like nothing big had happened, but on the inside, I was feeling better than I had in more than 6 months. I wanted to find the animal and make it my friend because bringing my flashlight back was the nicest thing anyone had ever done for me, outside of Annie Bell carrying extra tissues in case I got a nosebleed on the bus. What was that? Bernadette asked. What was what? That noise. I don't know, I said. I didn't hear anything.